The wildcard weekend was the best wildcard weekend we've had in a long while, as all 4 games came down to the wire and were genuinely good games. Josh Allen certainly made noise in his playoff debut with some of the decisions he was making, and from a neutral fan standpoint, it was entertaining to say the least. The Patriots' dynasty may have ended as well. I hope we can get the same out of the divisional round games, which brings us to the topic of today's video, as we will be breaking down all 4 of this weekend's games. Before we get started though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. We're going to be going in order of how these games are going to be played this weekend, so we're going to be previewing the Vikings at 49ers first. The Vikings went down to New Orleans and beat the Saints Sunday in a huge win, and they certainly have momentum going into this game. The last time these two teams played was in week 1 of the 2018 season in US Bank Stadium, and the Vikings won 24-16. I was at this game personally, and the Vikings forced Jimmy G into throwing 3 interceptions, including a pick 6 to then rookie Mike Hughes. However, with this matchup, the Vikings are coming off of an emotional win, and the 49ers have had an extra week to prepare. I could see this game going either way, because the reality is the Vikings do play better when they are underdogs rather than favored, and an example of each is last week against the Saints and week 16 against the Packers when they laid an egg. I don't think the 49ers make all of these improvements between 2018 and 2019 to have a first playoff game exit under Kyle Shanahan, and ultimately with how much Zim will be on the Vikings this week about not to have an emotional hangover like they did after the Minneapolis Miracle 2 years ago, I think it's a close game. Ultimately, give me the 49ers in this one 24-20. Next up is the Titans-Ravens game Saturday night. The Titans are 9.5-point underdogs, and in order for them to win, they need to hold Lamar Jackson as best as they can. That certainly is no easy task, as he is the MVP of the NFL. If they can keep the Ravens under 25 points, a hard-fought win in Baltimore is achievable, as we saw the Vikings beat the Saints last week with the same format. The best hope for the Titans is to get Derrick Henry going early against the Ravens defense and not have the game in Ryan Tannehill's hands against the Ravens secondary. If the Ravens get up by 10 or more points early, then the Titans will have a tough time getting out of this. As good as Ryan Tannehill has been, I don't see him going into a 14-win top-seeded Baltimore Stadium and leading the Titans to a come-from-behind win. If this were to happen, then crown the Titans now, because they would deserve the Super Bowl after a performance like that. I think the Ravens win this fairly comfortably and move on to host an AFC Championship game 24-13. Next up is the Texans and Chiefs game, and the spread is 9.5 points, and I think the Chiefs can more than cover this if they play their game. The Texans barely escaped the game against the Bills, and unless they get out of the gates quickly in this game, I don't see any way the Texans go into Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs on a week of rest. I also personally feel the Texans will never win the big game with Bill O'Brien as their head coach, and if the Texans turn the ball over even once, I don't see them winning this. They have to play their game and then some. Tyreek Hill will have a field day against the Texans secondary, and if by a game plan the Texans choose to limit him, then Travis Kelce will have a field day. Either way, I see Patrick Mahomes throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ultimately, give me the Chiefs in this one 31-17. The final game of divisional weekend is the Seahawks at Packers, and I can see this go either way. The Seahawks are coming off of a 17-9 win in Philly, and although they played Josh McCown most of the game, giving up 9 points in a playoff road game has to be a confidence booster for any team. I don't look for Aaron Rodgers to take this game over, as it's clear he has lost a little bit compared to what he used to be, as he is now 36 years old. Whoever wins this game, I hope it's an all-NFC North Championship weekend or an all-NFC West Championship weekend. So if the 49ers do beat my Vikings, then I want Seattle to win and vice versa. If there is a quarterback that can go into Lambeau in January and win, it is Russell Wilson. But ultimately, I think with Zadarius Smith, Jair Alexander, and the rest of the Packers defense, they will be too much for Seattle, and I think they beat them with a final score of 23-17. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've been under the weather all week, so that's why there was only 2 videos instead of 3 this week. Hopefully I get 3 out next week, depending on how I feel. But thank you for watching and helping me grow and support the channel, and have a great day. Skol Vikes.